MTN SME Hub. Link to growth, link to success, link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Zinta Strydom. She's MD of ZS Attorneys, and we're talking about a support mechanism for entrepreneurs, and it just happens to be an entrepreneurial business. So the question before, which I kept asking about, is around this entrepreneurship thing. So let me ask it to you in a different way. Why do you want your clients to view you as entrepreneurial? Why? What's the reason?
I want my customers to view me as entrepreneurial because I want to grow a relationship with them. My ultimate challenge is to form an engagement with young, small businesses and to scale up with them in their growing aspects.
And where do you try and source these clients from? Where do you go to find them? How do lawyers find a business, or law firms find business?
I am part of an organizational women group where I find some customers, but I also go out to tech and various other conferences where I speak to people.
And why have you chosen tech?
I've always had tech while growing into my career as an important element. It is quite interesting how my career evolved, but I've started out doing my master's in cyber law, and thereafter I just seem to attract tech companies. I also think a lot of new entrepreneurial companies have to involve tech in their business growth. It is quite important in today's innovative world to involve tech in all your aspects of business, such as including compliance, technology, ways of working from a technical perspective, etc.
And when you say also from an IP perspective, also the legalities of offshoring IP or to where to build your IP, things like that.
Correct, yes. So IP is closely linked to tech.
Right.
And therefore, I've also specialized as an IP lawyer in order to assist customers with their IP protection, be it with copyright, trademark registrations, or patentability of their technology. I feel that IP is at the heart of a business.
We're coming back to this entrepreneurial word again. When you talk about engaging with your clients from an entrepreneurial perspective, what is it about the way that you engage them that is entrepreneurial? You spoke about, I think earlier, about how you help. You're not a showstopper. You don't stop a deal from happening.
Yes, I look at customers' insurance as a start. Mm-hmm. Thereafter, I assess their risk in respect of all the engagements with customers, suppliers, and third-party contractors to see how the insurance aligns to their risks.
So typically, if I've got would it be short-term insurance? I'm a small business, I'm a small tech business, I'm building an app. You're going to ask me for my insurance, for the wording of my insurance policy. Is that where you would start with me?
It's not only that, but I will also advise customers what type of insurance they require, whether they require professional insurance, and also the limits of the insurance. I would, for example, look at a customer's top 10 customers and the risk under those contracts to advise them on that aspect.
If you had to now go and source or look at a competitive firm to try and attract these clients, why would they move across to you? What is it that you are offering that, let's call it, a bigger, more established firm doesn't offer?
I also assist customers with looking beyond the day-to-day legal agreements and following good corporate governance, the King Code, for example. I look into the customer's policies such as data privacy, their competition law policies, and I try to assess where the loopholes are to prevent them from incurring fines in future. Therefore, I would say the difference between myself and my competitors are that I step in and assess the risk more from an entrepreneurial perspective in order to partner with that customer rather as an entrepreneur rather than a technical, typical law firm.
So your quandary right now is that you are going for a market, you're saying you're going for an emerging entrepreneurial market. The issue in that space is that they really often can't afford attorneys, or they can't afford proper legal advice. They don't have the funds, yet they need it most of all, and they're most vulnerable. That you've got that complete catch-22. It's where they are the most vulnerable, but they just can't afford you. So how do you reconcile that?
I do take that into perspective. I offer retainer fees for customers where I reduce the fees if they work with me for a certain amount of hours per month. And I also discuss budget with them to see what option would be better when they invest in compliance tools. For example, some of the compliance tools you can attend to manually. Some of them assist you to automate some of the work. So you have to differentiate between the two and see what will link better with the client's budget. And it's also important from a customer's perspective to decide whether you want to invest in this from an operational expense perspective or a capital expenditure perspective.
Okay, we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, I'm going to give Zinta some things to think about. Stay tuned.
MTN SME Hub, link to business success.